Should you be a NEET? Hey guys, what's going on? Herndo back with you. Let's switch it over here. Hold on. So you can. There I am. Oh, okay. What is a NEET exactly? It stands for Not in Education, Employment, and Training. It's basically a young guy who's just kind of given up looking for work. They could be employable. Maybe they have trouble finding a job. Maybe they got fired. Maybe they just got disillusioned with working in general and decided, fuck it, I'm just going to stay with my parents, or I'm just going to live off welfare. Some of these guys might have some kind of form of passive income, crypto or something like that, where they can just basically sit at home and have money coming in. Maybe they own some property and they're getting like rent money or something. But yeah, it's a big movement. It was in Japan, it was known as, I think it was hikikomori, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. Excuse me. But yeah, it's been a big phenomenon in Japan for decades, but it's becoming more popular now, and especially in the last 10 years in America, where you have this growing contingent of young men that just is really checked out. But there's a lot of, maybe there's some upsides to being a NEET, not having to go to work every day, having mommy cook you tendies at night. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of drawbacks to it as well, and we'll get into that. But let's check out this video. This is from Cole Hastings. He's a good YouTube channel. He talks about this kind of stuff. Let's watch a little bit of it.
It encapsulates a much broader demographic and, as the name suggests, includes people who are neither in employment, education, nor actively seeking training. While the unemployment rates have done a good job at decreasing steadily for a long time now, besides 2020, the rate of young NEETs, and particularly young male NEETs, has been steadily increasing. Why is this happening? What are the consequences of this, and what can we do about it? That's what I want to go over in this video. This video is going to start off with a little bit of a surprise. It's become increasingly well known that young men's college enrollment rates are now much lower than that of women's, and I even made a whole video covering this topic. And since that is the case, you would think the logic that follows is that there are more young male NEETs than young women, at least.
Well, the thing with the college, we hear a lot of stuff about, oh, everybody graduates with $100,000 in debt. That's not always the case. There's plenty of other avenues you can take. You can go to community college. I think the average college debt is like 20 grand, and that's still a lot. But, look at, how can I phrase this? It's basically like looking at how much college debt there is. I think a lot of people see that kind of thing. There's like 1.7 trillion in college debt, and it's like, holy shit, dude. And you hear all these stories about people struggling to pay back their tuitions and whatnot, their loans, then you can't discharge those in bankruptcy court. So I think a lot of guys see that and they're just like, fuck it. Personally, I think it might be a little overblown. A good number of people are just irresponsible. I hate to say that. I hate to be one of those guys, but yeah, I don't think we should encourage young people to go to college, or at least seek some form of higher education, like a trade school or some kind of thing. But we do need a new generation of college educated people. And a big concern is that the newer generations coming out, like everybody 20 and younger, everybody with a degree. That demographic is shrinking, and it's being put on a smaller amount of people. And a lot of, like I said in my other videos, a lot of older professionals and older experts, they don't want to really give up the reins. It's kind of creating a big problem here, but we got to get more people in college, or we got to find some way, we got to develop some kind of system where we can educate these people and get them ready for the workforce, and not saddle them with massive amounts of debt, and be able to find them long-term employment, and, get them into industries that are sustainable long-term. But how anyone does that is anybody's guess. But let's get into this a little bit more. Here we go.
in this video. After the pandemic in 2020, employers were desperate to begin recruiting young employees to fill open spots that were a result of a slow economy. This caused a bit of a hiring bubble as the ratio of job openings to unemployed workers went from 0.2 to a peak of 2. But as job spots started to fill up and vacancies fell, employers began to pull back hiring, trim job openings, and reduce hours. This has actually caused a slow increase of unemployment rates that I didn't mention earlier, and is a natural consequence of a post-pandemic world that desperately needed to get the economy going again. But I think there's more to this than simply a lessening of work opportunities. It's also the attitude around work and the type of work being offered now that we need to factor in.
Yeah, attitudes towards work are very bad. You talk to a lot of young people. I want to make a video talking about like some of the Gen Z people I've worked with over the last, like since the pandemic, and it's just attitudes from them are very poor. And I don't necessarily blame them for that, but at the same time, it's just like these guys got to get their shit together. They're going to be NEETs the rest of their lives. You don't want to do that shit, but basically like, what do we tell these guys? Like, okay, you're going to need a master's degree for some position making $16 an hour, or you're going to go work stocking shelves somewhere for like $12 an hour, maybe. If you don't have a degree, there's really no avenue. But even with a degree, you're kind of fucked. And without a degree, you're fucked. It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Either you spend, tens of thousands of dollars to get a degree and not be able to find work, or you skip all that and try to get out into the workforce, after high school. I mean, it used to be that way. You used to be able to find a job and work there for like 40 years, but that hasn't been the case in decades. We really don't give young people a lot of options these days. That's a serious problem.
Employers tighten their job openings, they usually only start to look for better qualified employees. In our modern digital age, some of what is taught in our current education system may apply to what you'll eventually be doing in the workforce, but it has been heavily lagging behind the pace of our changing market. Take, for example, the meteoric rise in AI. When OpenAI released ChatGPT in 2022, nobody was prepared for how quickly so many traditional jobs were about to change. It showed us how much was possible with AI, like being able to create images, write code, and do tasks that were typically reserved for multiple employees. And while many companies started to adapt...
Yeah, people laugh at this AI stuff. I covered this kind of stuff before in my video I released a little over a week ago, but this AI shit's real, man. It's real. It's a real threat, and a lot of these jobs, a lot of these high-end tech jobs, computer science jobs, programming jobs, coding jobs, that shit is under threat right now. And I know I said it before, people are saying it all the time, but it bears repeating, it bears repeating.
To this change, many schools did not. Technology like AI allowed for the elimination of many entry-level jobs that young people used to get out of college, such as data entry and administrative roles, customer service roles, market research, and other...
Trying to find a data entry job. I was trying to find something to supplement my income, like a weekend shift or something like a morning shift, and I would go to work in the afternoon. Trying to find these jobs, it's damn near impossible, and they only pay like $12.50, and you need to like type a certain amount of words per minute. I don't know if you necessarily need a degree, but you at least need like really in-depth knowledge of like Microsoft Excel and stuff. And, how, maybe some young people don't quite have that kind of knowledge. I said it before in my older video, like maybe some young people aren't quite technically adept, but that might be kind of a misconception. I think a lot of people are very technically able and technically intelligent, but but still, what good is all that knowledge if you're not going to be able to use it, and if the dynamic is changing like right in front of your face?
Or IT related roles. And on top of that, what colleges don't often encourage are extracurricular opportunities such as internships or other summer projects. To the average young person, whether you're a graduate or not, it's extremely overwhelming. As soon as you're done studying a degree for an in-demand sector, that sector changes, and then your degree becomes less useful, or in some cases, completely obsolete. And
yeah, it's a serious issue, but I will leave a link to this video in I'm going to give him a like. Thank you, Cole. You know, I'm going to subscribe to him too. You did a good job today, Cole. But let's check out this article. This is from Yahoo. I think it's a Fortune magazine article, but for you, that article on Fortune is paywalled. Anyways, let's get into it. Gen Z grad says being unemployed is harder than the 9 to 5 because most workers would have a breakdown dealing with the admin. He's among the NEET men frozen out of the workforce. And it says here, God almighty, college-educated Gen Z men are stuck in the class of NEETs, not in employment, education, or training. Many are watching their careers derail before they've even started. It's a full-time job trying to claim benefits with none of the positives. A Gen Z grad has complained in a series of TikTok videos. Been working harder than a 9 to 5 employee lately. The male user blasts in another, and the brutal wake-up call has struck a generational nerve. The 27-year-old Josh E.B., as he goes by on TikTok, has been unemployed and job hunting since graduating with a master's in business in October. In his popular videos, the Gen Zer from Edinburgh explains that he had hoped 2 degrees would secure him a place in the corporate world so he could finally escape life in the council estate public housing. But he's been shocked that since tossing his graduation cap in the air, he's instead been forced to live off unemployment benefits. That in itself can feel like a full-time job. The job hunt is still impossible, he says in one video, adding he's competing against over 100 applicants for low-wage entry-level jobs and getting few interviews. I could have been working in a warehouse and got a promotion or two in the time it took to do that master's. Probably would have given me more of an advantage. Now, I don't want to sound like a right-winger here, but maybe foreign labor has something to do with it. I hear a lot of stories about guys, some white guys getting frozen out of the market so companies can save on overhead by hiring foreign workers, like the H-1B debate and all that stuff like that. I don't know if that's this case. I don't want to make any assumptions. I don't want anybody thinking I'm a right-winger, but yeah, I think that plays a factor too, especially if this is Edinburgh, you know, this is across the pond. So yeah, it's a problem in a lot of these like European countries and America, which is a pan-European country, according to some people. Joshua explains that the government pays him $400 a month, £400 a month, $500, but he has to keep track of all his job hunting activity for the keep. Although I do want a job, you're spending the whole time getting ready for these weekly meetings. More young men are becoming NEETs than women, not in employment, education, and training. Josh is far from alone. Gen Z graduates are discovering that their qualifications are no longer guarantee a direct path to graduate schemes, high-profile jobs, or even the foot in the door they once did just 10 years ago. 94% of students either landed work or went on to further education in 1 year after graduating, according to the data from the UK Department for Education. In 2024, just 59% of grads had full-time jobs 15 months after graduating. I'm sure that must be like in the UK. 1 in 40% of grads don't have jobs 15 months after graduating. Insane. The mega of the growing class of NEETs that is non-employment, education, and training with college-educated men particularly hit hard. Separate data suggests that while they share of female Gen Z grads participating in the workforce has steadily increased, participation rate for their male counterparts has nosedived since 2023. We covered that in the other video. And this one here, this is from last June. Gen Z are increasingly becoming NEETs by choice on unemployment. You know, la 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 la. Here we go. In Spain alone, over 500,000 15 to 24-year-olds are neither studying nor working. Meanwhile, in the UK, almost 3 million Gen Zers are now classed as economically inactive, with 384,000 youngsters joining the workless class since COVID pandemic. The studies don't delve into what's inspiring young people to ditch the rat race and opt for a life under their parents' roof or on public subsidies, but separate research highlights that if they did start climbing the corporate ladder, buying a home of their own still feels like an impossible task. Like, yeah, you're shut out of everything. If you're not shut out of job, if you're not shut out of jobs, you're able to find some kind of employment, you still can't afford shit these days, man. It's fucked. I don't know. I hate to be one of those guys just like, well, I don't know. But seriously, I wish I had a better answer for this kind of shit. The prices are too damn high, you know, and we just saddle people with all this debt and we don't give them like any opportunities and shit. It's just a big mess. And then a lot of older people just don't understand, you know. It's not about making eye contact and shaking hands. It's about, hey, can you survive? Will you have shelter? Will you be able to live on your own in any capacity? I mean, that's how it's getting these days. And I can understand a lot of people are just like, fuck it, checking out. But there's some other stuff here. This is from 4chan. I've been NEET for a year and a half and has not been comfy wumpy. I feel like life is fucking useless. Do NEETs also feel like this in your country? Yes, NEETing is retarded and is only comfy for a few weeks, months. then you get hit with the immense regret over wasting your life. If you have a defensive reaction to what I just said, you're coping. People think neatism is cool or comfortable, have never pictured themselves as neat. As a neat, you can't make money, so you have to live off someone. Could be a relative or anything, sometimes even the government. And every second you spend with them, they'll make it known how much of a burden your whole existence is. Yes, exactly. I live in rural bumfuck nowhere. There's nothing for a job here for me. I need to move away, but I can't because I can't afford to live anywhere besides my parents, which brings us to this. Oh, right there. I can barely even look at my parents in the eye anymore because of how much of a disappointment I am. I try to spend as much time locked in my room as possible to avoid them, and it just drives me mad. Jesus Christ. Go get a job then. Oh, boy. Boomer spotted. This guy's from Brazil. I've been in NEET for 6-7 years, and even though my life is far from perfect, I'd rather still like this forever than having to get a job again. I've had some people in my comments under my videos be like, fuck it, I'm not working. I don't give a shit. Been needing for 5 years, went from being the guy with a lot of money to that broke guy. Finding an income is probably going to suck, but would have been more miserable if I'd stayed at the place I worked. Been needing for 3 years now. I really don't feel too bad about it. I have mental issues for me, so it feels really nice to not have to deal with a lot of the bullshit in society. I was not ideal or whatever, but I feel a lot more secure than I did pre-NEET. Also, employment is no guarantee of happiness. Some people waste their lives working a dead-end job, while some people waste their lives needing. I thought it was normal for an Arab culture to live with your parents as an adult. Am I wrong? It's all meaningless anyway. The billionaire and NEET will both have the same fate in the end. Oh, boy. Ooh, baby, baby, baby. Well, then go and beg for a job. 38-year-old NEET on Gibbs for a decade now, without Gibbs even longer. Oh, Jesus. Gibbs means, like, government money, if you didn't know. But yeah, this is not good. This is not good. But, it's just everybody's different in the situation. I don't want to just, like, say, me personally, I got some disabilities. I'm a big fat ass. I've been in the workforce for 22 years. And not to paint myself as a loser, but I don't really have much to show for it. I don't own a home. I don't have a family. If I checked out, who the fuck cares? I have a job. I've been working steady for 22 years. Different jobs, of course, but I've had so many jobs, dude. I'm going to make a video talking about the jobs I've had and just discussing that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just, it's a real mess for a lot of people. And we saw some of the charts and numbers. A lot of guys are checking out. A lot of measures since COVID have prevented young guys from finding work. I've been, me personally, in a lot of ways, let's switch back here, but there was periods of time where I was unemployed for like months and months. I got laid off. It was funny. I had just bought a car. It was an $8,000 car, a nice car. And this is back in November 2015, like a decade ago now. Hard, crazy to think, but I had just bought a car. I had been living at my apartment for a few months, and I got laid off. And I'm like, fuck, dude. I should have seen it coming. Things were changing at the company. I had been looking for a job and talking to recruiters. A lot of people were quitting. My boss wound up leaving the company. And for some reason, I thought, sure, I can handle like a $200 car payment or however much it was. But I got fucked over. I wasn't able to find work for 6 months. I wound up moving out of my apartment. I had some savings, but I blew through those, just keeping my rent paid and a few other bills and stuff. My dad helped me out a little bit. There wasn't really a gig economy back then either. I don't think Grubhub was around. I think maybe Uber was. I don't remember, but my car was a piece of shit anyway. Actually, I had a decent car, but I'm getting all my stories mixed up. But yeah, but still, I was just like even doing like Uber part-time was not going to pay the bills. I'd have to be doing that, like 12 hours a day and shit. But I don't know. I mean, there's other avenues you could do. I mean, if you don't mind being a leech on the government, I guess, people just don't give a fuck anymore, man. And I feel myself getting to that point too sometimes. Just, I'm tired all the time. I'm stressed out. I'm just like, I just don't see, I'm just gonna be one of those guys. I'm just like history's forgotten son or something. Just like some guy who made like no impact. And it's just like, fuck it. Why do I even care anymore? Why do I even bother going to work anymore? I don't want to be like leeching off my family and shit though, but it's hard. It's hard to be locked in. Most of the time I'm okay. I'm locked in and I can take care of this work. And that's hard to do. That's hard to do, to be locked in and go in and do your work every day and keep your bills paid and all that shit and all this extra bullshit that comes with it. you know, making appointments, going to the doctors, filing your taxes, doing all this extra bullshit, you know, it's tough. Being an adult can really fucking suck sometimes, but you know, some guys just say, fuck it, we're just gonna be man children forever. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll leave the link to that video down below. Maybe a couple of these articles too. And yep, that's all I got. Visit my Cash App if you want to give me a couple bucks. I appreciate it. But yeah, until next time, I will talk to you guys later.
Ryan Little.